Welcome to the channel. A viewer question that we're going to answer today, and that is about using old star crimped hulls for roll crimping. I assume that he's gonna lack the equipment to star crimp, either that or he's gonna load it with something that isn't gonna come up to the correct length. Now, I don't think there's actually going to be a problem with it. Have I done it? I'll be honest, I haven't, no. The predominant reason I haven't done it is because I can get new hulls, stuff like this. These are Fioshis, and they're extraordinarily cheap. They don't cost a lot. And so my bar for trying to make this work is if you're going to shoot it anyway, then, and you're going to reload it anyway, then if you could use one of these and roll crimp it, or you could use one of these and roll crimp it, and you have some old cases lying around, then really the cost of using this has got to be minimal. So my point is, if you have to get the iron out and try and iron the petals out and get it all beautiful, and it'll take you 10 minutes to do a hull, then I think that that's an equation that, you know, doesn't add up. The other thing I would say is that invariably with these cases, you're going to have wear and tear. I mean, if you have a look at this guy, for example, there was a little cut already. I've exaggerated it, but you've got to look at the hulls that you have. I mean, if you have poor quality stuff, I mean, these are Eli, and these are not hulls that I've shot. I just picked them up somewhere. I went to a clay pigeon range, asked nicely, and I just got tons of them. If they're not of sufficient quality, and some of them are really thin, I mean, this is actually pretty. If I squeeze it with my fingers, there's resistance there. You get really cheap hulls which haven't got any weight of them at all. I would categorically reject everything that isn't 70mm. I mean, you get shorter sizes, but they tend to be economy models. I would always go with a 70mm case, which tend to make for slightly higher quality hulls. I haven't even cleaned these. These are uncleaned. These are just if they come off the range. Now, the one thing I would say, make sure you don't have old hulls that have had the rain on them, because believe it or not, they rust. I know. Not everything that looks like brass is brass. Anyway, the basic strategy then here is that I'm going to take my hull, and then I will just full size it like that. And next thing we're going to do, we're going to put a new wad in. Here we go. New wad. Down it goes. In goes the lead shot, like that, and then we're just going to put some clear overshot discs on, and that is it. Now I'm going to load these as inerts because I'm going to get some shotguns in here, and I'm going to run these through. I'm just going to dry fire all of them once through just to see whether we get any jams, because that's really the crux of the question. I don't see overly a problem there. I mean, the one thing I would say is I have a feeling that that we're going to have some old crimped areas which are going to be higher than the roll crimp line. So I don't think we'll roll crimp past this. I should think we'll roll crimp to about there with the current load I have. Anyway, that's one. I'm going to make 50 more. I'm going to roll crimp them all, and then we're going to chase them through some shotguns, and we'll see how it goes. Now, as an aside, while we're here, I will quickly say that reloading birdshot is almost never worth it. I think there is a rationale for reloading a buckshot. That's great. I've reloaded my own buckshot. It worked well. I think I used red dot. I've also reloaded slug. Slug reloading works great. I've also done the Lee slugs. I think they're all great. That all works great. But birdshot itself is so cheap. So welcome to the drill press then. So here's the same base I had last one. In there we have the same. Let me get that out and show it to you. .12 gauge roll crimping die. See, this one has little pins in it. Now there are a couple of little tricks to make roll crimping easier. The main one is put a bit of WD-40 in, and that just helps to smooth the metal. I mean, any oil will do, it doesn't really matter. In it goes. The other thing, of course, to do is to heat this up a bit. And the purpose here is, of course, that the hotter you make this plastic, the softer it becomes, and so the more malleable it is. This heat is self-perpetuating because the friction generates a certain amount of heat. What we're doing here is merely to make sure that the first case gets the same amount of heat as the last case. Alright, so let's roll crimp it. And that then is number one. That's done with very little love, very quick. See, it's actually all right. I think it's come out all right. If we look inside, we can kind of still see the old petals. But on the outside, that is actually pretty good. I don't think there's going to be a problem with feeding those. All right, when you've done some, so when you've basically roll crimped them, I like to shake them. There's one, there's two. What you don't want is you don't want any shot rattling around inside them. What I like to do at this stage is I like to set the depth stop. So I'll pull down a bit, depth stop goes into the hardest position, and then I'll just tighten that in place. And this one here, let's check the height. Yeah, see, that's good. And the advantage here is that you don't have to think so much. I mean, you can over crunch these. It's quite easy to put a little bit too much oomph on these or too little. If you have a look at the front, see you've got all the little indentations. That is when your roll crimp die is not in hard enough and it basically stalls out and you're pressing a stationary die into it. So if you see little dimples like that, you need to run over it again and that'll clear them up. Like so. If we have a little cut like that, I don't think that's terminal. I'm just going to level that out, put it back in its place, and I'm pretty sure when we roll crimp over, it won't be pretty, but the outside diameter is going to be the same. So if we have a look, the top of it is cut free, and the inside is never going to look that pretty on these anyway. This particular case has a cut that's a little deeper, and we can see it's really rather quite deformed. I didn't catch it earlier. It must have been well hidden. I would not try and save this case. I'd just cut it open, reuse the components, make a new one. This is not something I'd even consider firing. Okay, so welcome back. So here are our cases. All the primers are fired. There is no powder inside. They are good to go. We mostly sell inert shotgun cases, reloaded inert shot shells to practical shotgun shooters who use it to do shooting drills. So I have the Benelli M2. We're just going to feed these through. So everything goes into the Benelli, and we're going to see whether we have misfeeds or whether they all go through. And one. So that one fed. That one fed. So they all go through on the Benelli. There's on the M2. There's no problem. There's no feeding issues. Okay, and here then is the Mozzie. God Almighty, it's been forever since I've done something with this thing. So one in there. 1, 2, 1, 2. Number of misfeeds? None. So this is once through. They still look fine. They haven't gotten chewed up. They're okay. They're not the prettiest. You're going to have a certain amount of hulls that aren't going to put up with it, that are going to fail on you while you manufacture them. But as long as you get the crimp on and they're in one piece at that stage, I don't think there's a problem firing them. As for reuse, I'm not sure how many times you're going to reuse old hulls. So anyway, I hope this was interesting to you, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.